Imagine this. You're waiting at a busy train station. People are scrolling on their phones, sipping coffee, rushing past with briefcases. Security cameras are blinking red, recording every movement. A busker plays a soft tune in the distance. It feels safe, normal, predictable. And then, someone collapses. A scream cuts through the air. A man lies bleeding. But here's the chilling part. Dozens of people were there. Hundreds of eyes watching. And yet, nobody really saw it happen. Nobody stopped it. Nobody understood what they had just witnessed until it was far too late. This is the story of the station stabbing, the murder in plain sight that nobody saw coming. And what you're about to hear will make you question not just what happened that night, but the very idea of safety in crowded places. The clock read 8:17 p.m. at Central Station. It was an ordinary Tuesday evening. Trains screeched into the platforms, commuters streamed out, and the air buzzed with the impatient rhythm of urban life. The tiled floors gleamed under fluorescent lights. The smell of fried food drifted from a nearby vendor. For most, it was just another stop on the way home. But for one man, Daniel Reeves, it would be his last. Daniel was 32 years old, tall, slim, with a tired face that carried both kindness and exhaustion. He worked in finance, a job that drained him but paid enough to keep him going. He had boarded countless trains before, stood in this station 100 times. But tonight, something felt different. He checked his watch. He was meeting his youngest sister later for dinner. His mind wandered to what he'd order, maybe pasta, maybe steak. Normal thoughts. Mundane. Across the station, another figure moved through the crowd. Hood up, head down, silent. A stranger nobody would remember clearly until police asked later. But in that moment, he was invisible. Just another body in the river of commuters. And then, the waiting began. At 8:22, the platform thickened with people. A train was running late, the announcement echoing overhead. Service delayed. We apologize for the inconvenience. Phones lit up. Some scrolled through news. Others texted loved ones. Music played in earbuds. A few sighed and shifted their weight impatiently. Daniel stood near the center of the platform, not too close to the edge. A businessman beside him typed frantically on his laptop. A teenage girl snapped selfies, neon light from the station sign bouncing off her face. And yet, somewhere in this crowd, danger crept closer. Witnesses would later recall seeing a man in a dark hoodie brushing past Daniel once, then again. But in the moment, nobody thought twice. In a crowd of hundreds, personal space dissolves. Shoulder bumps, accidental brushes. It's part of the background noise of public transit. What nobody realized was that this second brush wasn't an accident. The man in the hoodie kept his head low. He adjusted something in his pocket. His movements were precise, deliberate. He positioned himself just behind Daniel, waiting, as though for the perfect beat in an invisible rhythm. The CCTV camera above caught it all. But cameras don't scream. Cameras don't warn. Cameras only record. At 8:24 p.m., the train headlights appeared in the distance. People shifted forward slightly, readying themselves for the rush. Bags tightened in hands. Feet angled toward the yellow line. And then, it happened. The first scream was small, almost swallowed by the screech of the incoming train. Daniel stiffened, eyes wide, clutching his stomach. His mouth opened, but the noise of steel grinding against steel drowned his gasp. The man in the hoodie slipped the blade back into his sleeve. In the chaos of shuffling feet, the act was invisible. To the naked eye, it looked like nothing happened. Just another body shifting in the crowd. Daniel staggered. At first, people thought he had tripped. A businessman muttered under his breath, annoyed. Someone else laughed nervously, assuming it was just clumsiness. But then Daniel's knees buckled. His briefcase hit the ground with a dull thud. His shirt bloomed red. That's when the scream finally came, this time from the teenage girl standing nearby. Her phone clattered to the floor as she shrieked. He's bleeding. He's bleeding. The crowd erupted. People scattered backward. Some froze in shock. Others ran toward the exits. One or two tried to help, but confusion and fear pulled them away. And the hooded man, he melted into the chaos. The perfect ghost. While all eyes locked on Daniel, he slipped toward the escalators, vanishing before anyone realized what had just occurred. The train doors opened. Commuters stepped out and froze at the sight of a man collapsed on the platform, blood pooling beneath him. Panic rippled. Shouts for help bounced off the tiled walls. "Call an ambulance! Where's security? Oh my God, he's dying." But in those precious first minutes, there was no savior. Only fear. Only paralysis. Daniel's eyes darted desperately around the crowd. He tried to speak but only choked. His lips moved, but no words came. A young man finally knelt beside him, pressing his jacket to the wound, trembling as he did so. And above them, the station clock ticked on. Cold, indifferent. By the time paramedics arrived, Daniel's pulse was faint. They worked furiously, compressing, stabilizing, fighting against the tide of blood. Commuters huddled at a distance, phones raised, recording the horror. It was too late. At 8:41 p.m., Daniel Reeves was pronounced dead. His sister would never share that dinner with him. The crowd dispersed slowly, whispering in fractured conversations. "I didn't see anything. It happened so fast. Was it terrorism? A robbery?" The police cordoned off the area. Detectives scoured security footage, combed through witness statements. But the strangest detail emerged almost immediately. Nobody had truly seen the stabbing. Hundreds of eyes, dozens of angles. Yet the act itself, swift, precise, seemed to vanish in plain sight. Some claimed Daniel clutched his chest before collapsing, as though it were a heart attack. Others swore they saw a fight. A few thought the businessman next to him did something. Confusion, contradiction, chaos. And through it all, one haunting truth remained. A killer had walked among them, struck with surgical precision, and vanished without a trace. Detectives replayed the footage frame by frame. They saw the hooded man brush past Daniel. They saw the shift of his arm. But the blade? Invisible. The weapon never surfaced. It was as though the station itself had swallowed the evidence whole. And the city shuddered. In the weeks that followed, news outlets tore the story apart. Talk shows debated how something so violent could happen in such a public space without anyone intervening. Psychologists pointed to the bystander effect, the eerie phenomenon where individuals in a crowd are less likely to help because they assume someone else will. But this case was stranger. People weren't just unwilling to act. They genuinely didn't see the crime. Some blamed distraction, phones, headphones, screens. Others suggested the killer knew exactly how to exploit blind spots in human attention. He moved in rhythm with the environment, becoming invisible by acting ordinary. But then came darker whispers. Some online theorists argued the killer wasn't working alone. Maybe the crowd itself was seeded with accomplices who created diversions. Maybe the stabbing was a test run for something larger. And the most chilling theory, that it was random. That the killer simply wanted to prove it could be done, to murder someone in the open, in a place of cameras and witnesses, and still disappear. Because if that's possible, then nowhere is safe. Months passed. The investigation stalled. No arrests. No weapon recovered. The hooded figure remained just that, a shadow. Daniel's family demanded justice. His sister gave interviews, her voice trembling with both rage and sorrow. "My brother was murdered in front of hundreds of people, and yet somehow, nobody saw a thing. How is that possible?" The question lingered. How is it possible? At night, commuters avoided Central Station. Some swore they felt watched on the platform. Others claimed to see the hooded man in reflections, in corners of their eyes. Urban legends began to grow. That the station was cursed. That the cameras weren't malfunctioning but tampered with. That the man in the hoodie wasn't just human, but something darker, an echo of violence that moved unseen. But the police, they filed their reports. And the case faded, like so many urban horrors before it. So, what really happened on that platform? Was it a meticulously planned assassination, a random act of violence, or a chilling demonstration that in a world of cameras and witnesses, invisibility is still possible? The truth may never be known, but the memory of Daniel Reeves lingers like a ghost in the tunnels of Central Station, a reminder that sometimes the most horrifying crimes don't happen in dark alleys or behind locked doors. They happen in the open, surrounded by people, and still nobody sees. Next time you're standing in a crowded station, scrolling your phone, earbuds in, ask yourself, if something terrible unfolded right beside you, would you notice? Would you act? Or would you, like everyone else that night, look without seeing? Because sometimes murder hides in plain sight. And the scariest part, you might already have walked past a killer and never even known. Tell me your theory in the comments below. And if this story gripped you, if you want more true urban mysteries and chilling unsolved cases, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Because sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that remain unsolved.